In a forgotten village where no one ever dreamed beyond farming, Gabriel rose as the first graduate, a beacon of hope for his people. Backed by the sacrifices of his parents and the kindness of a king, he achieved greatness, but pride and deception led him astray. What began as a story of triumph soon turned into betrayal, as Gabriel misused his education to exploit the very people who trusted him most. Yet, from his fall came a powerful lesson, one that reminds us that true success is not in pride, but in humility. Sit back, relax, and find out what happened in this wonderful story. Gabriel was born in a village where no one had ever seen the walls of a university. His people lived their lives the way their fathers and mothers had lived, farming, hunting, and trading in small village markets. To them, education was nothing but a waste of time. A child who could hold a hoe or a cutlass was considered wiser than one who wasted hours writing letters on a slate. But Gabriel was different. From the moment he was old enough to notice the world around him, he dreamed of books and knowledge. He would watch the children of teachers from the nearby town carrying school bags, and his heart would burn with desire. One day, he would whisper to himself, "I will be the first graduate in this village." His parents, poor and struggling, looked at their only son with both fear and pride. They feared his dreams were too high for their humble state, yet they were proud of his courage. Every morning, his mother would sell firewood in the market, while his father took on any menial job he could find, digging wells, clearing bushes, or even carrying heavy loads. At night, they would bring the little they earned to Gabriel and say, "Use this, my son. Education will change your life." Gabriel worked too. After school, he would run errands for wealthier villagers, wash clothes, or fetch water for a fee. Every coin went into his school fees. The village mocked him sometimes. "Why waste time?" they would say. "No one has ever graduated here. You think you are wiser than all of us?" But Gabriel ignored them. Deep in his heart, he carried a fire that no ridicule could quench. He swore that one day, he would return to his village as the first graduate and make his parents proud. Life in secondary school was not easy for Gabriel. Unlike the other students who came from the town with neat uniforms and packed lunches, Gabriel often went to school in torn clothes, his stomach empty. Sometimes, he would walk long distances barefoot, but still, he never gave up. Teachers noticed him. He was always attentive, always eager to learn. Even when hunger gnawed at his belly, he would listen carefully, scribbling notes in his half-used exercise books. His intelligence began to shine. Soon, other students looked up to him, asking him for help with mathematics and English. At home, things grew tougher. His parents struggled to keep up with his school fees. Many times, Gabriel was sent home for lack of payment. He would sit outside the classroom window, listening to lessons until the principal allowed him back in. His parents sacrificed everything. His mother sold her wrappers. His father worked from dawn till dusk, all to keep him in school. At night, Gabriel would sit under the moonlight with a lantern, reading his books until he fell asleep. He always told himself, "I will not let their sacrifices be in vain." And though his heart was heavy with the weight of poverty, his determination made him rise each day stronger than before. By the time Gabriel completed secondary school, his joy was mixed with sorrow. He had passed well, but there was no money to continue to the university. His parents had given their all, but their pockets were empty. Gabriel began to lose hope. It was during this time that King Bernard, the ruler of the village, heard of Gabriel's struggles. The king was a wise man who valued progress. One evening, he summoned Gabriel's parents to his palace. "I have seen how your son has struggled," the king said kindly. "This village has never had a graduate, and I believe Gabriel can be the first. I will sponsor his university education." Tears filled the eyes of Gabriel's parents. They fell to their knees, thanking the king. That night, when they broke the news to Gabriel, he was speechless. He knelt and wept openly. "Thank you, Father. Thank you, Mother. Thank you, my king," he whispered. For the first time in his life, his dream felt possible. From that day, Gabriel prepared himself with renewed energy. He began making plans for university, determined to justify the faith the king and his parents had placed in him. His journey was far from over, but hope had finally found him. The day came for Gabriel to leave for the university. The whole village gathered to bid him farewell. Men, women, and children sang songs, ululated, and danced. The king himself prayed for Gabriel, placing his hand on the young man's head. "Go, study hard, and return to lift this village," he declared. Gabriel's parents, filled with both joy and sorrow, hugged him tightly. "Make us proud, my son," his mother whispered. His father's eyes shone with tears as he said, "You are our only hope." As Gabriel boarded the vehicle to the city, he looked back at his village. He saw the mud houses, the dusty paths, the faces of people who had never dreamed beyond farming and trading. His heart swelled with determination. "I will come back with a degree. I will change things here," he told himself. The road ahead was long, but Gabriel was ready to face it. University life was like stepping into another world. Tall buildings, busy roads, students from wealthy families. It was all overwhelming to Gabriel. Yet he reminded himself that he belonged there too. He had not come to waste time. He studied hard, spending most of his hours in the library. While other students partied and wasted money, Gabriel lived a simple life. He shared a small hostel room, ate the cheapest meals, and saved every little stipend he received. His parents and the king supported him, but he also took small jobs around campus to sustain himself. Gabriel excelled in his courses. His lecturers admired his seriousness, and his classmates respected his intelligence. Slowly, the boy from a poor village became a shining star on campus. He knew that every success he achieved was not just for himself but for his parents, his king, and his entire village. At night, he would sometimes sit alone, staring at the stars, whispering, "I must not fail. I must come back victorious." And so, Gabriel's journey as a university student began. A journey filled with hope, sacrifice, and the promise of a brighter future. 4 years passed quickly, filled with sleepless nights, endless lectures, and countless exams. Gabriel had fought through them all with determination and discipline. On the day of his graduation, he wore his black gown with pride, his cap sitting firmly on his head. As he walked across the stage to receive his certificate, tears threatened to fall from his eyes. He thought of his parents, who had sacrificed everything for him. He thought of King Bernard, whose generosity had made this dream possible. Most of all, he thought of his village, where no one had ever worn a graduation gown. "This is not just for me," he whispered. "This is for all of us." The applause from the audience sounded like a song from heaven. When the ceremony ended, Gabriel called his parents. Their voices trembled with joy. "My son, you have done it," his mother cried. His father's voice broke as he said, "You have wiped away our shame." But deep inside Gabriel, another voice whispered, "This is only the beginning. The real battle is still ahead." After graduation, Gabriel was posted for his National Youth Service Corps, NYSC. Dressed in his khaki uniform, he felt proud. The uniform was not just clothing, it was a symbol of achievement. He stood tall among fellow corps members, his heart swelling with gratitude. During service, Gabriel worked hard, showing discipline and seriousness. He believed the future was bright. Every day, he imagined returning to his village in glory, carrying gifts, and building schools for children. He told himself that soon, good jobs would come knocking on his door. But reality is often harsher than dreams. While others used connections to secure jobs even before completing service, Gabriel had none. He relied only on his certificate, his brilliance, and his hope. As his service year ended, he waited for the breakthrough that never came. The city was cruel, and opportunities were scarce. Life after NYSC was nothing Gabriel had imagined. The city was filled with thousands of job seekers like him, each carrying certificates, each filled with dreams. Employers wanted experience, something Gabriel did not have. He sent applications daily, sometimes walking under the scorching sun from office to office. Weeks turned into months, months into years. His small savings quickly disappeared. Rent became a burden. Food became scarce. Friends who once admired him began to mock him. "So the first graduate of your village cannot even get a job?" they laughed. Gabriel avoided their eyes. Shame crept into his soul. He could not return to his village empty-handed. What will I tell them? That the first graduate has no work, no money, no future? The thought crushed him. He chose to stay in the city, hiding from his people, hoping that one day luck would smile at him. But luck remained far away. One night, Gabriel met his old friend Fred. Unlike Gabriel, Fred seemed to live well, wearing good clothes, eating well, and spending money freely. Curious, Gabriel asked, "Fred, what is your secret? How do you make money?" Fred laughed and leaned closer. "The internet, my brother. There is money there, plenty of it. You don't need certificates. All you need is smartness." Gabriel's eyes widened. "The internet?" Fred nodded, describing how he made money online, though his words carried more shadows than light. Gabriel listened but did not like the path Fred had chosen. Still, the thought stayed in his mind. He returned to his small room and stared at the ceiling. Maybe the internet is the answer. Or maybe I should just go home. But shame and pride chained him. Days later, after another failed job interview, he looked at his empty wallet and whispered, "Maybe Fred is right. Maybe I can use the internet to survive." With his last savings, Gabriel bought a laptop. He looked at it like a treasure chest, though he had no clear plan of what to do with it. He decided it was time to return home. The city had drained him, and his pride could no longer carry the weight of hunger. He packed his small bag, wore his NYSC uniform, and boarded a bus to the village. The moment he stepped down, the villagers rushed to him. Songs filled the air, drums beat loudly, and people danced in joy. Their first graduate had returned. To them, Gabriel was a hero, a man who had conquered the world of education. King Bernard himself welcomed him warmly. "You have done well, my son," the king said. "Now, teach us. Show us the light of knowledge." That night, Gabriel looked at the faces of his people, their innocent trust, and their deep admiration. Pride filled his heart. But along with pride came a dangerous thought. These people know nothing. I can make them worship me. I can make them give me all I need. It was the beginning of his downfall. The morning after his return, Gabriel wore his NYSC uniform again. He marched proudly through the village square, his laptop under his arm. The villagers looked at him with awe. Children followed him, singing songs of praise. Women whispered, "See how handsome he looks. Our son is now a man of the government." Gabriel took advantage of their ignorance. Whenever anyone asked why he always wore the uniform, he would reply with confidence, "I am a government property. I belong to Nigeria, not to myself." His words confused them, but because they had no knowledge of the outside world, they accepted every word. The king himself respected Gabriel deeply, often sending him gifts of yam, goats, and palm oil. "Our graduate must be honored," he would say. Gabriel enjoyed the attention, his chest swelling with pride. Soon, he stopped seeing himself as their son and started seeing himself as their master. He discovered that big grammar made the villagers tremble. He would say words like monetary inflation, socio-economic development, and federal alignment. The people would clap, not understanding a thing. "A whole graduate," they would exclaim. Gabriel smiled, knowing he had them wrapped around his finger. One evening, Gabriel gathered some elders in his compound. Wearing his uniform, he placed his laptop on a stool before them. "This," he said proudly, tapping the machine, "is my government machine. With it, I can double money. It is a federal assignment, but since you are my people, I will use it here." The elders gasped in wonder. They had never seen a laptop up close. To them, it looked like a sacred box. "How does it work?" one asked. Gabriel smiled. "Simple. You bring your money, I put it here, and the government sends back double. But patience is required. Only those who trust me will enjoy it." The news spread like wildfire. By the next week, villagers trooped to his house with small amounts of money. He collected it all, typing randomly on the laptop, pretending to send messages. He would then tell them, "Come back in a few days." When the villagers returned, he gave them back their original money plus a little extra from his savings. This small trick convinced everyone that the machine was real. Soon, people began selling goats, chickens, even plots of land just to bring money to Gabriel. The entire village was hooked. Gabriel's house became a shrine of sorts. Every morning, people lined up outside, bringing money and gifts. Women knelt before him, calling him, "Our savior." Men bowed, treating him like a king. Even the village elders sought his approval before making decisions. He stopped farming, stopped helping his parents, stopped acting like a son. Now, he was the graduate, the government property, the man who held the key to riches. His parents grew worried, but they were too proud to question him openly. After all, their son had become the most respected man in the village. Gabriel enjoyed every moment. He walked through the village with his uniform, demanding respect. If he wanted food, he would say, "A whole graduate cannot cook for himself." If he wanted money, he would say, "How can a government property lack?" Immediately, someone would rush to meet his need. But pride is a dangerous disease. The more Gabriel tasted power, the more he wanted. The villagers had given him everything, except their very souls. And he was determined to claim that too. As months passed, Gabriel's scheme grew bolder. He no longer returned money quickly. Instead, he told villagers, "If you bring a bigger amount, you will get bigger results." Small money brings small miracles, but big money brings government blessings. Desperation took over the people. Some sold their farmlands. Others borrowed from relatives in distant towns. A widow sold her last piece of jewelry, tears in her eyes, saying, "Gabriel, you are our hope. My children must not suffer." Gabriel took it all, promising them wealth beyond imagination. He tapped endlessly on his laptop, smiling as though he were in control of invisible powers. He filled their heads with more grammar, dazzling them with lies. But deep down, Gabriel knew the truth. He was feeding on the ignorance of his people. Each night, when he lay down to sleep, he heard a small voice in his heart whisper, "You are stealing from them. You are destroying their lives." He silenced the voice, drowning it with pride. "I deserve this," he told himself. "I am their first graduate. They owe me everything." For a while, everything went smoothly. Gabriel lived like a king, eating the best food, wearing fine clothes, and commanding respect. But lies cannot live forever. Slowly, cracks began to appear. Some villagers who had given him large sums started asking questions. Weeks had passed, and they had seen no returns. "Graduate, when will our money come back?" they asked nervously. Gabriel waved them off with his usual grammar. "Patience, patience. Government procedures take time, but patience has limits." A young man who had sold his father's land grew restless. "If my money does not come back soon, I will go to the king," he threatened. Others murmured in agreement. Fear gripped Gabriel's heart. He realized the game was slipping out of his hands. That night, as he sat with his laptop glowing in the darkness, Gabriel felt sweat drip down his face. For the first time, he wondered, how long can I keep this lie alive? The village was no longer as peaceful as before. Whispers filled the air, and everywhere Gabriel went, he noticed suspicious eyes following him. The same people who once bowed before him now murmured behind his back. One morning, a group of villagers gathered at his gate. "Graduate, where is our money?" they demanded. Gabriel stepped out in his NYSC uniform, laptop in hand, and began speaking his usual grammar. But this time, the words carried no power. The people were no longer impressed by monetary inflation and federal allocation. They wanted results. An old man pushed forward, his voice trembling with anger. "I sold my land, Gabriel. You promised me double. Now my family is hungry. Where is my money?" Another woman burst into tears. "You deceived us. You made us poor." Gabriel's heart pounded, but he forced a smile. "Trust me, the process is ongoing. Any moment now, the government will release the funds." His words bought him a little more time, but he could feel the walls closing in. The complaints reached King Bernard. At first, the king could not believe it. "Not Gabriel," he said. "He is the pride of this village. He cannot cheat us." But as more villagers came forward, crying about their losses, the king grew troubled. He summoned Gabriel to the palace. Gabriel walked in nervously, clutching his laptop as though it were a shield. "My son," the king said sternly, "these people trusted you. They gave you their money because you are educated. Tell me the truth. Did you deceive them?" Gabriel's lips trembled. For the first time, he could not look the king in the eye. "Your Majesty," he stammered, "it is complicated." The king's face darkened. "Complicated? You carry the hope of this village, Gabriel. If you have betrayed us, you have not only destroyed their trust, you have destroyed mine." Those words cut deeper than a knife. Gabriel left the palace shaken, knowing he was running out of time. The breaking point came one afternoon when dozens of villagers stormed Gabriel's compound. They were tired of waiting, tired of excuses. Men, women, and children filled the yard, their voices rising in anger. "Bring out our money," they shouted. "You are a thief. You fooled us with your grammar." Gabriel stepped out, trembling. He tried to explain, but no one listened. Some men grabbed his uniform and tore it. The laptop fell to the ground and cracked. The villagers gasped. It was just an ordinary computer, not a magical machine. Rage filled their eyes. Someone picked up a stick, another grabbed a stone. His parents ran forward, begging, "Please don't hurt him. He is our only son." But the crowd pushed them aside. Realizing his life was in danger, Gabriel fled. He ran through the dusty paths, past the shocked faces of children, past the king's palace, and out of the village. Behind him, the shouts of betrayal echoed like thunder. Gabriel wandered for days, broken and hungry. He had no money, no home, no friends. The city had rejected him, and now his own village had cast him out. The once proud graduate who boasted of being government property was now nothing but a fugitive. At night, he slept under trees, shivering from the cold. His clothes grew dirty, his face hollow. He remembered the villagers' tears, the king's disappointment, his parents' shame. Each memory stabbed him like a knife. He realized that his downfall had not begun with the villagers. It had begun with his pride. He had been too ashamed to take a humble job. He had been too proud to accept small beginnings. Instead, he had chosen lies, and those lies had destroyed everything. Lying on the ground one night, Gabriel wept bitterly. I wanted to make my people proud, but now I have only brought them pain. God, forgive me. Days later, Gabriel found himself in a nearby town, weak and starving. A kind stranger saw him and offered him food. Young man, what happened to you? The stranger asked. With trembling lips, Gabriel told his story. The man listened carefully, then said, "You are educated. That is already a gift. But education without humility is dangerous. Start small. Work with your hands. Stop chasing pride." Those words sank deep into Gabriel's heart. For the first time, he saw clearly. He had wasted his gift because of arrogance. If he had been willing to start with little, he would not have fallen so low. He decided then that his story was not over. He would not end as a failure. He would work, even if it meant starting as a laborer. He would rebuild trust, even if it took years. Gabriel rose to his feet, dusted his torn clothes, and whispered, "I will rise again, not with lies, but with truth. I will be a graduate with humility." He gathered the courage and went back to his village. The villagers was very angry, but he knelt down before all of them. "Please, forgive me," he said, his voice calm. "There is nothing like money doubling. I just don't know what came over me. I guess I was just frustrated for not getting a better job after graduating. I'm deeply sorry for pouring out my frustrations on you people," he added. "Just give me small time, I will pay back all the money gradually." The villagers hesitated but finally agreed. The road ahead was long, but a new fire burned in his heart. His fall had taught him the greatest lesson of all. Pride destroys, but humility builds. Pride may lift a man high for a moment, but it will always bring him crashing down. Gabriel's fall teaches us that education without humility is empty, and knowledge without truth destroys. True greatness is not in deceiving others, but in serving them with honesty. For only humility builds, while pride destroys. If you have watched till this moment, please don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe for more powerful and touching stories with lessons like this. Until next time, stay safe, stay real.